The latest State of Play brought by Sony was a very solid presentation. Even if most announcements weren't focused on PlayStation exclusives, they focused on highly anticipated third-party games we'd all been waiting for, from unexpected remakes, innovative, smaller projects, and giant-budget sequels. I'm Leo as Luna, former reviewer, editor, and now a video content creator, and this time I'll pick 7 of my favorite titles shown on this event that I would like to dive into to see what information we have from this up until now, and to give you some thoughts you might consider if you're interested too. So let's start, shall we? Number 1, Resident Evil 4. So the Resident Evil 4 remake is finally a reality, and you know what? I totally get it. It's been almost 18 years since the original game was released, and the RE2 remake team is thrilled to send us back to the secluded European village filled with intelligent and unimaginable threats. Only this time with updated graphics and gameplay mechanics. According to press release, the plot goes the same way. 6 years have passed since the Raccoon City incident, and Leon Scott Kennedy is now working directly with the President of the United States on a secret mission to save his daughter in a Spanish village. Of course that is, not knowing the horrors he'll face down the road. It seems Capcom truly wants to emphasize how different the art direction and graphics are going to look, considering it will only be releasing for the PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. That itself could be a bit disappointing to some fans, but in a way a lot of game developers are more than ready to make the jump in a new generation. With the gorgeous yet visceral physics of RE Engine have proven to be one of the best looking graphic engines to date. The other point of discussion is how different it is going to be from the original game, and honestly that's a topic for another video. All I can say for now is that you can consider that yes, based on previous RE2 and RE3 remakes, you might see new things in the narrative, but that will not take you away from the original game at all. Consider it as the new Capcom Steam version that might even bring new fans to try the old game. It's all about gaining momentum and taking the opportunity of this fantastic team while they're still around. From what I saw from the trailer, it seems there's a darker tone to it. This new team seems to change some narrative in favor of connecting the Resident Evil franchise as it wasn't before. Because of course RE2 original devs will not know how RE4 will turn out. And second and most importantly, they give more depth on characters' personality. Being Leon as a good example of a character that was actually expressing his trauma of being the first day on zombie apocalypse, and I could easily see this topic mentioned again in the new RE4.
If I could just forget what happened that night. The pain. Even for a second.
I said new RE4 since that's how they want us to refer a new version of this beloved good old game. Another curious thing that has been confirmed is that they're using the same animation tools where they hire a model to replicate body and face into character. They actually confirmed that a Dutch model and now resident in Japan named Ella Freya is the face model of Ashley Graham, aka the president's daughter. I mean, you can see it. It's basically her, and it's so good that RE Engine could work with this technology. I personally would like to see that the AI mechanics implemented in Mr. Baker, Nemesis, and Mr. X could do with a lot of intelligent enemies known as Las Plagas. Leon does chat a lot while traversing the remade RPD department.
Get out of my face! Get out of my face! Stay back!
So I'd like to see more dialogue interaction in Spanish and English between him and the enemies.
Where's everyone going? Bingo?
Gameplay-wise, I think it would feel more alike as the RE2 remake where Leon and Claire move slowly while aiming in contrast to the original RE4. I'm kind of worried how ambitious this remake will be since RE4 is a large game. Regardless, it all feels very exciting to me and I can't wait to try it out next year. Number 2, Stray. In this puzzle adventure, you'll traverse a futuristic and picturesque city as a cat and find his way home. As all felines do, he will stay curious, silly, nimble, stealthy, and aware of his surroundings to find his way. As simple as it sounds, the small developer from South France, Blue 12, has been working on this project for about 7 years. His focus was mainly to capture cat behavior with all tools available. Of course, they have an entire library on the internet as a free reference, and of course most of the team members live alone with cats. but most importantly, they have 2 working cats in their office that help him on capturing animations as well. And you can really tell they put heart and soul in this, with the way the cat's moving, his ears reacting to sounds, the eyes reflecting differently on camera, his fur and skin naturally changing while sensing danger and so on. Cat will be accompanied by B12, a robot that will help him communicate with the strange citizens of this forgotten city. I really dig the cyberpunk sense seen in the trailers and how the cat is the only living thing in flesh around the city. Oh, by the way, the city is based in Hong Kong, as if you can tell. Not much of a narrative game other than B12 interactions, but it feels similar to Inside and Limbo in a way. I'm glad this game is around the corner for PS4, PS5 and Steam. Oh, and keep in mind this will also be included for PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium members, and at this moment is a 10% discount on Steam if you're interested. Number 3, the Callisto Protocol. Another terrifying adventure on my wishlist, and this time very close to being released. Glenn Scofield, who is better known for directing Dead Space, is now on full creative freedom on this project, which we actually know a bit more of the plot. Set in the year 2320, a cargo pilot named Jacob Lee is trapped at Black Iron Prison. His escape will be challenged by a mysterious outbreak and the United Jupiter Company's conspiracy. Most importantly, Striking Distance Studios called this game as a survival horror that fuses brutal combat with a deeply human story in a terrifying sci-fi world. One of the many reasons why this game is so anticipated is because of the way Dead Space innovated the horror scene in video games. Scofield himself and his team called the design process as horror engineering, which basically is a methodology that, as stated on press releases, it blends elements of brutality, atmosphere, tension, humanity, and hopelessness to build up an unforgettable scares that players will never forget. That itself reminds me a lot of the way Dead Space was developed. If you have the time, feel free to check out my description of a video produced by Ars Technica where he explains how Visceral Studios went on creating terrifying levels. And as a horror fan myself, I'm glad Striking Distance found his way with Skybound and Crafton. You can really feel the giant budget with this trailer. My only question is, how far will they go with this sense of humanity and brutality? Only time will tell. More news about the plot and characters will be revealed soon. Oh, by the way, acting stars like Josh Duhamel as Jacob Lee and Karen Fukuhara from the Suicide Squad and The Boys are part of the cast, which kind of speaks volumes. Number 4, Eternights. Don't you just like when you see new games you never thought would be in your wishlist? Eternights could be one of those. Developed by Studio Psy, a multinational development team for over 2 years, Eternights is a dating action game where you try to make the most out of life during the apocalypse, kind of a hack and slash and dating sim altogether. There's a time limit hitting you during the campaign, so it is up to you to manage your calendar and decide if you want one day to build a relationship with survivors in order to get more skills in combat and stronger bonds, go out to find resources, or explore the dungeon to fight enemies all around. It kind of reminds me of Persona 5, which is great. Enemies were humans dragged by violence and power now turned into monsters. Two things I love about this game is that you can unlock 2D animated cutscenes depending on how your relationships are, and V, press R2 to hold hands? Come on, we need more wholesome mechanics like this in video games. Plus, I really like there's quite attention to detail and to animation and storytelling. Still having some concerns in regards to the combat system, especially me as a hack and slash genre enthusiast, but we still have the rest of the year to see more about the Eternights. Number 5, Street Fighter VI. I haven't been more excited about a new Street Fighter since, well, its 4th iteration. As a fan of the fighting genre, I'm usually the guy who tries as many fighting games as possible, and yet still something was off for me for Street Fighter V and Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. But with Street Fighter VI, it checked all the marks for me, especially the beautiful, colorful, and hyper-realistic art direction made with the wonderful Irie engine. The face animations looked very fluid and detailed, and the impact of every hit felt good. For now, they have only officially confirmed 5 characters, 2 being new to my knowledge, And then of course there's the roster leak that for the moment I'll not talk to respect Capcom marketing team's efforts on making this game great, but feel free to write down the comments if you like more insights on another video. The combat will inherit some of the best mechanics from previous Street Fighter games. There's a new drive system based on special attacks, dodge, counters, and special moves. There's now a modern control type where you can easily pull out tricks and combos without depending on the good old 6-button controller D-pad maneuvers. So far they announced 3 game modes: World Tour, a single player open world campaign where you traverse the classic Metro City from the original Final Fight, with your own avatar to look out for a challenge and learn a lot from the Street Fighter world. Then there's Battle Hub, a place that looks more or less as an arena to challenge other players online, very similar to Arc System Works games like Guilty Gear Strive and Dragon Ball FighterZ. And finally we have Fighting Ground, a compilation of classic game modes such as arcade, local versus, training mode, classic online matches, and much more. There's also a new commentary mode where known casters from around 13 languages give commentary to online matches.
At this range, many attacks can connect if you stick something out. The neutral game is very important.
The idea here is to explain to casual players the basics of fighting games, while entertaining your online matches with a similar adrenaline found in professional tournaments. I'm still not sure how this will work, but I guess it's only a matter of time for them to explain a bit more later on. Another cool thing is that Street Fighter will make a comeback on the Xbox platform for the first time in years, specifically on the Series X and S. There are no news if the game will have crossplay between Xbox, PS4, 5 and Steam players, but doing so, fans will likely end the meaningless console war with Street Fighter matches. That or turn things worse, I guess. Number 6, Season, A Letter to the Future. This game has some very chill vibes all in all, even if it occurs before a cataclysm. So let me explain to you. You're Estelle, a person who's on a journalistic and spiritual mission to capture and record everything in a town before it collapses. It's a narrative-driven adventure where you meet strangers, hear the stories and help remember memories from photographs and recordings. You'll take down your journey in order to help them remember things and solve final wishful thoughts. It seems like a game to meditate on what we actually have amidst the turmoil. A game to appreciate and witness its richness in art, culture, architecture, and natural landscapes. By the way, it has DualSense support where you'll feel different terrain while riding your bike. Number 7, Final Fantasy XVI. Square Enix has been very quiet about this iteration, but after watching this trailer, I feel more than pleased. Luminous Engine looks fantastic and has a seemingly similar gameplay mechanic as the Final Fantasy VII Remake. There are a lot of details on the Twitter and Instagram accounts in regards to the character and the world, but for now I'll stick with the aesthetics of the trailer. Really like the medieval and tech art direction similar to older Final Fantasy games and how explicit and gruesome looks, which is not common to see on a Final Fantasy game. I can see it new returning summons, and as usual they are ridiculously large and majestic. Extra kudos as well for revealing some of the key members of the project. We usually expect to see one person as the face of everything, but in reality there's a ton of people involved that are forgotten most of the time, unless you're watching the credits of course. Nothing like putting director Scott on your own game, right? Anyways, I'm a little bummed to see it as a PS5 exclusive. I was expecting it on PC or on Xbox at least, but considering how mixed was the release of FF7 Remake on Steam, I think they're likely to focus more on one platform, plus the exclusivity deals Sony has probably got from them. Oh yeah, if you like to see more of this engine in action before the game releases, I might recommend Forspoken, another Square Enix exclusive developed with Luminous Engine that will release on October 11th. So that's it folks. Those are my top 7 picks from the State of Play in no particular order. I hope I gave as many details as possible in an easy and digestible way to all of you. Don't forget to share, like and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this, or the ones that my Roulette of Destiny will pick for me. I'm Leo S. Luna, and let me know down in the comments which of these games or other ones that I haven't mentioned you will be expecting the most. Take care.